I tried the cheapest pre-workout in the world to see if it actually works, and in order to truly test it, I'm going to be training my arms with no pre-workout versus the cheapest pre-workout and measure my arms at the end to see which one grows my arms the most.
And the first ingredient is going to be honey. This is always so hard to press.
And as I squeeze the honey onto this spoon, here's why this might actually work if I can even get it out of the bottle. Honey is packed with fast digesting carbs, giving you a quick and steady release of energy without the crash of artificial pre-workouts. It's loaded with natural sugars, which goes straight into your bloodstream, making it a perfect fuel source for training and apparently impossible to squeeze out of this bottle. On top of that, honey contains antioxidants, which can help reduce muscle fatigue and even improve endurance. Some studies even suggest that honey performs just as well as sports gels when it comes to boosting athletic performance. So in theory, this should give me a solid energy boost, but will it actually work?
Perfect. I'd say that is a good amount of honey. Now comes the salt, which is widely known to be really good for the pump.
And salt increases vascularity, improves circulation, and enhances muscle contractions. More blood flow means a bigger pump and better endurance, but will it actually make a difference in the gym?
I'm not very excited about how this is gonna taste, but cheers. It tastes so bad. It tastes so bad. Eating this much honey at a time, do not recommend. The salt is making it way worse too. It is so bad. I brought water to sort of mix the honey and the salt in to see if that makes the taste any better, because this is so bad. It tastes so bad. I don't know why. I mean, a little bit of honey tastes good, and then you put that much on at a time with salt, it tastes horrible. So let's try to mix it in this water, see if that makes it better. Not gonna lie, that's a lot of honey. Way better. Way, way better. So I'm gonna knock this back, then let's go to the gym.
I started by measuring my arms before the workout with the honey and salt in the workout where I didn't take anything, and both arms measured in at exactly 14.5 inches, which will be perfect to see which one actually ends up growing the most by the end of the video.
First exercise we're gonna start off with are cable curls.
And the biggest thing I already noticed is that unlike your typical pre-workout where like 10 to 15 minutes after you take it, you usually start feeling the effects, with the honey and salt, I didn't feel anything going into this workout. So I'm extremely curious to see if I start feeling the effects once I actually start working out, which is why so far I feel the exact same in both workouts. But then again, this is still barely the first exercise.
And we're gonna superset them with some tricep pushdowns.
And we're just 2 sets in, but I'm already starting to notice subtle effects from the honey and salt, but I'm not sure if they're placebo. So I'm gonna have to keep going to see if the effect continues to increase to make sure that it's actually real.
First set of each complete, and I can't tell any difference so far. I mean, both my arms, they feel good. Pump is starting to come along, but it is still too early to tell.
And it wasn't until I did 2 more sets of each where I started to feel noticeably different. You see, the pump is almost identical at this point, but I feel much more vascular with the honey and salt, which is super cool because that was actually one of the potential benefits from the salt, and so far it might actually be true. But I'm curious to see if it'll translate to getting a bigger pump, since I may be more vascular with the honey and salt right now, but the pump is still almost identical for both workouts. So tell me how that works.
That is the first 2 exercises complete. Besides the pump, I just feel I have like a lot of energy right now. Just a lot of energy, and it does feel like I am pretty vascular. I'm curious to compare it to the workout with no pre-workout.
And when comparing both arms side by side, they look almost exactly the same.
So far, things are looking pretty close for both workouts. If this pre-workout is gonna actually work, these next 2 supersets are really gonna define it. Now we're doing some bicep dumbbell curls.
And one thing is for sure, I'm feeling way more energy with the honey and salt, which is actually kind of shocking because that is what the honey is for, but I didn't think it would actually work.
Is this a sign of the pump? My bracelet is extremely tight on my arm right now.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. This honey and salt is making my arms way more vascular than usual.
Things might be looking up for the honey and salt, and we're gonna be supersetting them with overhead tricep extensions, my absolute favorite tricep exercise.
And now that the effects of the pre-workout are in full effect, the differences between both workouts started to grow, especially with the energy and vascularity I was feeling from the honey and salt, which was by far the biggest difference I was feeling.
I will say I feel pretty fired up. I have a lot of energy right now. It might be because of the honey and salt, or I don't know, but either way.
The honey and salt was not only making me more vascular, but my arms felt more pumped. And now with the energy I was feeling from the honey, I was able to push harder in the workout while going just as heavy. So let's see if that continues, to see if the honey and salt is actually gonna win this challenge.
I'm guessing it might be because of the honey, just because we took that big spoonful, all of the quick carbs that come from the honey. I think that might actually be giving me a lot of energy right now. We'll see if it continues, but so far, I mean, I definitely noticed a difference in energy right off the bat. And because we want to really test this pre-workout, that's why we're doing everything with a superset, to really fly through the exercises, to really try to overload the muscle
not giving a lot of time to rest so we can truly test the pump.
Yeah, I am flying through this workout with barely any rest in between exercises, and it's definitely working. My arms in both workouts feel like water balloons.
And now we're roughly halfway through the workout. The pump is almost identical to the other workout where I didn't take anything, but my arms feel more full and slightly more vascular. I don't know if that's gonna translate to a bigger pump at the end of the workout when I measure my arms and compare them, but so far the results are still extremely close. And now we're going into the last set for these exercises. I'm about to compare both arms side by side again, and even though it feels like the honey and salt is winning because they feel more vascular and pumped, I have no idea if there will be any noticeable difference between both arms. That is the end of the second round of exercises.
And when I did the shoulder test, I could no longer touch my shoulders with the honey and salt, and with zero pre-workout, I could still barely touch them. So the pre-workout was officially starting to pull ahead. But when comparing both arms side by side, they still looked almost identical in size.
So far, the biggest difference I've noticed is the energy levels and vascularity. I 100% feel more energy this workout than the other one. Now on to the final set of exercises before we measure my arms. We're gonna start off with some single arm hammer curls, and we're gonna be combining them with some tricep kickbacks.
And now that we're on the final stretch, it all comes down to these last two exercises to see if the pre-workout is going to win this challenge. But with the honey and salt having a slight advantage right now, I'm curious to see if that continues to grow or if my arms with no pre-workout are going to start to catch up.
My arms, I would say, feel slightly more pumped than zero pre-workout, but it's still extremely close. It's super hard to say because my arms on the other one also felt super similar to this, and the pump was still really good without taking anything. The race is extremely close. Now we're gonna do the last couple sets of the workout before we measure my arms and compare them.
And as I did the final two sets, it was clear that I was starting to pump out on the honey and salt, which means that this would be the biggest they had been the entire workout, which would be perfect to see how much they had grown, giving them the best chance to win the challenge. But when I started to compare to the other workout, I was experiencing almost the exact same thing, since my arms were almost starting to pump out in this workout. And if anything, it felt like these last two sets were having the biggest impact on my arms, because the differences I was feeling throughout the entire workout were no longer there, and it felt like they had grown just as much, if not more, than the honey and salt.
We're finally done.
And when comparing my arms for the last time before measuring them, they looked almost identical in vascularity and size. So at this point, it's impossible to predict which one's gonna win. And when doing the final shoulder touch test, I couldn't touch my shoulders on either of the workouts.
Let's measure my arms to see if the pre-workout actually works.
So it was finally time to measure my arms, where I used the honey and salt as pre-workout.
So my arms with the honey and salt pre-workout grew by 3/4 of an inch.
And when I measured my arms where I didn't take any pre-workout, they had also grown by 3/4 of an inch, which means that the cheapest pre-workout in the world failed this challenge.